Welcome back to the Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network. Don't forget, guys, we are available on all of your favorite podcast platforms, but the visual version of our podcast will be available exclusively on the Kempire Radio YouTube channel. So be sure to check out some of what you've already missed in this new year. We were celebrating, the 100th episode, even though I told you it's definitely more than 100 episodes of Kempire Radio here on podcast platforms, because we did have a separate series that we used to do, and it was called When You Know Better, Do Better. I don't remember. You do better. Look, you can go back and, and listen to some of those episodes and some past interviews that we've had. And I'm excited about what we're going to bring for the new year. I hope everyone is having a fantastic new year. I've already, I've been in the gym. I'm meeting with my nutritionist. I'm trying to get my life together for 2023. But my life it's on an upward spiral. Spiral? Is a spiral upward or downward? More like a downward. All right. So it's been an interesting week when it comes to pop culture news. So this episode is going to be all hot topics. So let's talk about TJ Holmes, Amy Robach. We got to talk about the Real Housewives of Potomac. We've got to talk about everything you guys have been saying on Twitter. We got to talk about Usain Bolt. There's a lot to break down. So let's get into it. Speaking of Usain Bolt, okay, so we did this story on Usain Bolt this week. And as you know, Usain Bolt, Jamaican gold medalist, just a track star, okay? And he's done a lot in regards to giving money back and putting his money in Jamaica, including this investment firm. This story came out this week that this investment firm, someone at this investment firm has stolen his money. He had about $12.9 or $12.8 million in this investment firm, and now he only has $12,000 in there. So he's given this investment firm 10 days to find out where his millions of dollars are. We've had some of you tweet me and call in and say, look at all these houses that these people that work there are building. These people are doing quite well for themselves. I don't know if that necessarily means that they stole the money, but someone stole the money and someone has dropped the ball. And a lot of you have said, I don't think it's just about this investment firm. The Jamaican government might have some involvement in the cover-up, allegedly. We don't know. However, we are paying attention to this, and we're going to continue to follow this story. Usain is not playing. He's worked hard, and he's given a lot back to Jamaica, and he could have invested his money anywhere outside of Jamaica, and he decided to put his money in this particular bank. Did he put all his money? Obviously not. But come on, Jamaica. Come on, this investment firm. Anyways. But speaking of windfalls of money missing and money won, we also did a story this week talking about Flo Rida, or as your grandmother calls him, Florida. All right. So Flo Rida won a lawsuit against the energy drink company, Celsius Holdings Incorporated this week for $83 million. If you want a breakdown of the whole legal situation, we did that on the Kempire Daily YouTube channel. But I'll just basically summarize this. Flo Rida was basically saying that they promised him a certain amount of shares in two different contracts. He had one contract and then he had a second contract. And then they were arguing in court that they were two separate contracts. However, Flo Rida's legal team was saying, no, the second contract was an extension of the first contract, which you would think would make sense if you've had a long-standing relationship with this company. Well, this company, Celsius, basically was like, no, they were two separate contracts. What you are considering a unit is not a unit, because they were talking about like these separate like energy. You know what? If you go to the gym and you take these little separate slits of stuff that you put in your drinks. So they were talking about this is separate units. But contractually, it didn't necessarily define that in the contract. Celsius was also saying that the only reason why Flo Rida was coming at them for this money was because he was running low on cash because of the pandemic. This lawsuit has been going on since May of 2021. Regardless, Flo Rida won $83 million. I'm not sure how he's going to get that, if that's just going to be the equivalent of, okay, here are your shares. I'm not sure. We should keep in mind, Celsius was just invested by PepsiCo, the big Pepsi company. And you also may know that Russell Simmons and Kimora Lee Simmons have shares in this company as well. That's a whole other story, because if you Google schmoogle, that is an issue that was an issue that was brought up because Russell Simmons was accusing Kimora of stealing from him. And Celsius was one of the things that he was bringing up. Kimora, you got bigger fish to fry right now than possibly coming on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, because we also got to talk about your scammer. Are they married? Because that scammer allegedly says that he was married when he married Kimora Lee. He was still married. So that wasn't a legal marriage. Did they ever really get legally married? Are they even together anymore? I don't know. But Kimora, clean up all of that before you decide to come on reality TV. You're not ready for messy reality TV. Your reality TV was always about your business. You were messy on your show, but it was like a business messy. You know what I mean? So good for Flo Rida. He won almost $83 million. That's huge. And I know a lot of you are like, oh my God, that's huge. Blah, blah, blah. And I also understand, I've said this before, Flo Rida wasn't hurt necessarily. He's been doing well. You may not have, hit songs on the radio all the time, but whatever he's been doing in regards to his investing and other things that he does and performing, Flo Rida has not been hurting over the years. But he also must have a good team, because they were like, Celsius, you owe us some money. And now I'm sure they're going to appeal it, but that doesn't mean anything. You can appeal all you want. Just because that's your legal right doesn't mean that you're going to win. We shall see. We're going to continue to follow that story. But right now, congrats, Flo Rida. Oh, speaking of a legal situation, TJ Holmes and Amy Robach. So the last time we reported on TJ Holmes and Amy Robach, we were letting you know that TJ and Amy have both picked up two attorneys, separate attorneys, because they're going to fight this whole being let go and taken off air that Disney and ABC News has done to them. Because as you know, they were taken off air after their affair was exposed. Some people would call it affair. Some people would not call it affair. I don't know what you want to call it. What I'm going to call it, you low down dirty dog, TJ Holmes. And I know a lot of you are like, well, what about Amy? What about Amy? Well, Amy has her ways. Check out the episode that we did. Hey, Amy. But Amy doesn't have that many bodies. At this point, this new body that we're talking about, this is the fourth affair that allegedly TJ Holmes had at ABC News. Now, Daily Mail came up with a story this week and is reporting that he had an affair with this other young woman who was an AB News staffer. And this is separate from Amy Robach. This is separate from the GMA producer. This is separate from the intern. This is another woman that worked at ABC News. If you missed my full report on that, you can check that out on the Kempire Daily YouTube channel. You can get like all the details. So now they're exposing this other relationship that he apparently had when he was an ABC News correspondent. And apparently TJ was sexing down this woman in his office right before he would come out to report the news. What in the morning show is going on? And Amy, how do you even trust a man when, first of all, he left his wife to be with you? I mean, you did the same. But when you see that he has a chronic history of cheating, maybe she feels like she can change him. Oh, whoa, 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 Amy. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, girl. Look, it's your karma. You decided to do this. And I've said this before. I feel as if, yes, I can understand you fall in love with someone. It's never a perfect situation, but you could have handled this better, especially when it comes to your employment. You could have like, you know what? We have to divorce and let the dust settle before we go public with our relationship. And look, we also understand the Daily Mail made them really go public with their relationship because they were basically hanging out. But that's the thing. We wouldn't even be photographed together anywhere, not in a car, not at a bar. Oh, that rhymes. Anyways. So I feel as if both Amy and TJ were sloppy in how they handled the situation. Sidebar, Amy and Andrew Shue met up in the park to exchange custody of their dog. Oh, Andrew. I hope Andrew finds love. And I know there are people reporting that Andrew and Marilee Figbig, TJ Holmes' soon-to-be ex-wife, might be getting together. No, I think they're just supporting each other because they have a common enemy or common enemies. And these are couples that used to hang out together. Just saying. All right, TJ. All right, in other pop culture news, okay. Madonna announced that she's doing another tour, and it's called the Celebration Tour. It's celebrating 4 decades of music, and I'm happy for that. I don't know if I will be going, to be honest with you. I went to a Madonna concert before, and this is not taking away from Madonna. I'm just not necessarily like ready to, or excited to go see Madonna in concert, unless I'm like right there. You know what I mean? There's certain people I'm gonna need to save my coins for the Janet Jackson show. But don't forget, Janet Jackson is going on tour. So I might much rather go see Janet. And that's no offense to Madonna, because I love Madonna too. But I've seen her live. I haven't seen Janet Jackson live. I know. Shame on me. So I'd much rather go see Janet this year. Because, I mean, the tickets are not cheap. And I know the Madonna tickets are not cheap. But I bring up Madonna not only just to talk about her tour, but to talk about, like, what is Madonna doing? Like, she got a full-on BBL, allegedly. I'm going to say allegedly. But you've seen the butt. And she's done a lot to her face. And look, her body, her choice. But when you think about what Madonna represented for all of us that grew up with Madonna, where she just didn't care about what people thought of her, including the Catholic Church, to really caring about the way that she looks and how she's aging, it's just like, damn. And sidebar, like with these people that have so much money, you would think they would have the best people to be able to be like, okay, but at the same time, the doctors might be telling you don't do this because it's not going to look great. And this person's like, no, do it. There's also that, but there's also some bad doctors. Just saying. So I don't know what she's doing. To me, it's just so sad because Madonna, no matter how you feel about other people that do cosmetic work, Madonna of all people, I mean, I could see her doing cosmetic work, but to do it, it seems as if she's not embracing getting older. Like she's fighting that. Like she's fighting to keep the legacy that she once knew, the fame that she once knew. But I think Madonna still had that fame. I don't think Madonna's fame has really waned that much. She still sells out arenas. But in her eyes, the level of fame, especially with, new pop princesses coming up and things like that. And remember, people used to compare like Lady Gaga to Madonna. And I'm like, why are you comparing these two? They're completely different in certain ways. Okay, Born This Way, Lady Gaga. But I just thought to myself, like, Madonna, like, just embrace where you are in life, because that's what people loved about you. It's like you didn't give a rat's what anyone thought of you. Getting this BBL, getting all this work done to your face. Sidebar, Madonna does have this really popular new song on TikTok. There's a song, and I didn't realize it was, but I was like, this is Madonna. That's really, that everyone's using this particular sound. Either way, Madonna will always be an icon. She has hits upon hits. I know a lot of people, no matter what I'm saying, will be going to see her show and will be excited about a new tour and new music. I'm sure she has new music coming along with this tour. Guys, let me know if you had to choose, though, between Madonna and Janet Jackson, based on your budget, which one are you going to? I'm not trying to compare them. I'm just saying, if you had to choose, right now I'm choosing Janet because I haven't been to a Janet Jackson concert. Shame on me. Not to backtrack, we have to talk about the Chrisleys. So that's another story that we cover a lot on my various platforms, from TikTok to YouTube. And Todd Chrisley and Julie Chrisley reported to prison this week. As you know, they're both facing combined, they're facing almost 20 years in prison. Todd received 12 years and Julie received 7 years. Julie ended up going to a medical facility, which made people speculate, is something wrong with her? Does she have like some sort of illness? No confirmation on why exactly she reported to that particular facility than the one that she originally was going to go to. Todd Chrisley, as you already know, has fought this. He's been speaking out all over the place, talking about this case right before he went in. But so has Savannah Chrisley, their daughter. Sidebar, as you know, this is a podcast. There is a visual version component as well. But I know a lot of you say that you love listening to me. And that's what a podcast is. I believe that if you're going to do a podcast, you have to have a voice for a podcast. Your voice should be soothing, and a person should not cringe when they hear your voice. And this was the very first time that I even listened to Savannah Chrisley's podcast, and I was like, ooh. And I'm being honest with you guys. Like, I used to love the Chrisleys. I used to love their reality show. I didn't mind Savannah. I didn't have any issues, towards Savannah. I'm literally giving you my initial reaction to listening to her podcast, and I was like, oh, but a girl has to, mama has to work. Mama has to work because both their reality shows were canceled. This is one of the ways that they're bringing in money, and she's going to be raising her younger brother and Chloe. So they talk about Chloe in this latest episode. They also talk about, what else did they talk about? They talked about, Savannah in her birthday post to Julie, she was talking about the system, how the system had failed her family. And they talk more about this in the podcast. So it's like cringy the entire, besides her voice, just the topics that they're talking about. You're like, oh God, here we go. But they also talk about comparing Jen Shah's sentence versus her parents' sentence. And look, a lot of people felt as if Jen Shah deserved more time. Based on what Jen Shah did, and to what, I don't know if you've seen what the victims have said, their victim statements or their interviews recently, Jen Shah probably deserved to be under the jail. But we also have, people like Emily D. Baker breaking down why exactly in this particular case, Jen Shah received the time that she did versus what Todd Chrisley and Julie Chrisley received. We also have to keep in mind, too, a very important element. Todd and Julie fought this case. They took it to trial. Jen Shah probably could have faced a lot more time than they did if she took this to trial. That's part of the reason why she decided to take a plea deal. She might still think that she's innocent, even though she's telling the court, I plead guilty. I take ownership for what you're accusing me of. All right? So that's part of the reason why she only got less time. She took a plea deal. But Savannah Chrisley in her podcast talks about this and says, we don't understand why this happened and blah, blah, blah. Well, talk to your lawyer. Look, talk to your lawyer. We also have to keep in mind, too, these are two separate cases in two different states. And different judges are overseeing this. All right. And also, as Emily D. Baker breaks down, she said, well, this is what the guidelines were for their sentencing. Those are important elements. This is why we rely on attorneys to talk about these things. So if you missed our coverage of that, you can check that out. But Savannah, girl, I mean, at the end of the day, this is her bread and butter, this podcast, and no one wants to hear her talk about anything else. They want her to talk about what's going on with her parents, how are her parents, what are your thoughts on the case? Because no one would be talking about this podcast, or I wouldn't be reporting on this podcast if she wasn't talking about her parents and them going to jail. To be honest. All right. So the Chrisleys have reported to prison. Let's get into some reality TV news and some shows that I think you should be watching and what's got me emotional this week. Okay. From Scratch. A lot of you told me when From Scratch came out in October, Kempire, you need to watch From Scratch. But no one told me the emotional roller coaster this limited series on Netflix would be. As soon as I started talking about it on social media, every single person said, well, get your Kleenex. I cried the entire series. And I'm like, what? So literally, as I record this podcast, I'm only on episode 4 because I'm giving myself time in between. Because at the wedding alone, I was crying. So for those of you that don't know what From Scratch is, it's about this couple that meets each other in Italy while she's studying to be an artist. It's played by Zoe Saldana. And Zoe Saldana, you're aging like a fine one. Like, she looks so good. And she meets this man by the character by the name Lino. It's based on a true story. I hear the book is really good too. I might read the book because it's been a while since, during the pandemic, I really haven't read like I used to read. Not like that, not read, like read a book. So, and I don't want to listen because when people say that they read a book but they're listening to the book, look, in all fairness, that's not reading. That's listening. No shade, but it's not the same thing. And I'm sure scientists and research will tell you reading versus listening is not giving you the same benefits of reading a book. Just saying, there's no shame in it. Look, I want to challenge my mind. As you get older, you should be challenging your mind in various different ways, from puzzles and things like that, and taking the different route home. There's a lot of little brain teasers that you could be doing to keep your mind active. All right, and reading is one of those ways, and not listening. It's okay. It's all right. There's certain books that I need to listen to just so I can get through them. All right. Sidebar. Prince Harry, congratulations on the success of your book, Spare, but the amount of jokes that are coming out about Prince Harry talking about him and his peen, I don't understand why he decided to talk about his peen so much in this book, like 14 times. It must be glory. I mean, if it's a good looking peen, Prince Harry, keep talking. Look, I don't know. But I also believe that people released a lot of this information, leaked this information before the book came out to make it seem as if Spare was not as in depth or as serious or as worth reading as it is. It still was very successful, but I do appreciate some of the jokes that I've seen on social media about Prince Harry talking about his peen. Okay. Back to this. So from scratch, we get this love story that has so many ups and downs. Lino's family doesn't accept him. Zoe Saldana is trying to become an artist, but we also have their relationship and navigating their relationship from beginning to end. And the preview I saw in episode 1 for what happens during this season, I'm just like, oh, this is going to be heavy. I got to take it little by little. So now I'm watching The Traitors on Peacock. Peacock's not paying me, but they should. But Traitors is actually really good. This is the one time that we've actually have brought together Bravo celebrities. We've brought Survivor stars. We've brought Big Brother stars on the same show with other regular people. We haven't seen any. And Alan Cummings, he's an actor, and he literally is acting in this position as the host. He is stellar. He is stellar. And I actually like the premise of the show. We have like 3 traitors that are in the mix, but no one knows who they are. They're trying to find out the traitors and get them kicked out before the traitors ends up killing them off. It's actually a really interesting show. I love and miss Kate Chastain on reality TV. She's so good in this. Who else is really good? I mean, I'm loving some of the people. Shout out to my hometown, Staten Island. We have the hairdresser in there. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. So I'm enjoying Traitors so far. I'm in the middle of the season. No spoilers. I probably will talk more about it on our Tuesday takeover when we talk about a variety of reality TV. But so far, I get why people like Traitors. But Traitors also is happening in the UK. I'm hearing the UK version is a lot better. Usually it is. It always is. The UK, like Europe television is very different. United States usually is stealing their ideas and creating our own version, unfortunately. But I hear Traitors UK is actually better. Probably like Celebrity Big Brother UK is so much better than our Celebrity Big Brother. I liked our Celebrity Big Brother, but until we get Tiffany Pollard was on Celebrity Big Brother UK, and she is amazing. I can watch those clips on YouTube over and over again. We need Tiffany Pollard for next season of Celebrity Big Brother. There was a rumor that she was supposed to be on this last season. I don't know if it just fell through. She denied any of being on it. I don't know. Look, anyways, I've made a full-on tangent. What else am I watching? I'm in the middle of we're about to be done with 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After. I'm done with this season. I'm not going to even talk too much about this tell-all, this 4-part tell-all, which I was originally excited about until I started watching it. And I'm like, oh, tell-all. We're seeing 24/7 of them, but like 4 or 5 of the couples we don't even care about. Andre and Libby, we don't care. Yara and Jovi, we don't care. Angela and Michael, so pre-produced. We don't care at this point. Just saying. Just saying. All right. So, okay. What haven't we talked about Okay, we did have the Real Housewives of Atlanta news come out a couple of weeks ago. I'm not sure if we talked about it during my last episode. If not, there are rumors that they're about to wrap the season. Cynthia Bailey is making a return this season, but just as I don't know if she's officially a friend of, she's coming in towards the end of the season. I think she'll probably just be a guest unless she's giving up the deets on her divorce. I'm here for that. She has signed on to at least be a part of some of these last events. They're about to wrap up the season of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I think they probably will premiere in May, to be honest. The ladies of the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip for season 4 are heading to Morocco as we record this. They're literally heading to Morocco. We're getting 3 repeats. If we got 1 or maybe even 2 max, I would be like, okay. But when I look at the lineup of women, I'm just like, we just did this with them. And I like Eva and I like Vicky and I like, Brandy, but we just did this with them. I'm kind of tired of seeing Brandy at this point. I mean, I enjoy what she brings to reality TV, but I'm kind of tired of seeing her because I know she's just desperate to be back on reality TV. She's desperate for a check. I think Brandy, though, why not? I mean, your podcast is actually pretty good from what I've seen and heard of it. Why not bring that to television if you can? But she would have to have someone want to pick it up. I don't know. I think maybe she's a nightmare behind the scenes, and that's part of the reason why people don't want to work with her on that level consistently. You know what I mean? I'm assuming. I don't know, because I'm just like, I don't think reality TV is long term for you. You're trying to make it long term, and it's like, no, you got to figure out what that next thing is for you. And I thought the podcast would be the next thing, but apparently it's not. I mean, she still has her podcast, but apparently it's not doing what it needs to do for her. She wants to be back on TV. Well, she's about to be. Ultimate Girls Trip 4. I'm ready for Ultimate Girls Trip 3. Maybe once we get that, I won't be so bothered by these 3 coming from season 2 back. Maybe once we get in the mix. I just feel like we've waited so long for season 3, and the fresh thing in our mind is the Ex-Wives Club. And everyone's already making assumptions about Alex McCord. Brandy was coming at her on social media, and then Eva did an interview. I heard there's another actress, Alex. She's an actress. Because, Alex did a couple little movies, but she's more than an actress. At this point, she's got her psych degree or something like that. Her PhD or something. I mean, those reactions, I have to say, Eva had some really funny reactions during season 2 of Ultimate Girls Trip. I just feel like there's way too many people returning to Ultimate Girls Trip. I'm happy to see Camille coming back, though. I'm happy to see Camille coming back. I'm interested to get a life update on Alex McCord. I'm also, some people were like, we never really loved Caroline Manzo on girls' trips, but I'm interested to see. Caroline Manzo, her kids are grown up. They have kids. She's in a different point in her life. I kind of wish we had another New Jersey person. I kind of wish we had another New York person. Just to kind of get their sides of the story. Like, who is from New Jersey? Well, definitely, I mean, Dina would have been perfect, but no, that's not going to work. Ooh, Danielle Staub. Can you imagine? I think she's burned a bridge with Bravo. But New York, I would have loved to see maybe Kelly Ben-Simone. She's always a good time on on a girls trip for the love of Scary Island. Just saying. Or even Countess Luann. But Countess Luann is preparing for her spinoff with Sonia. So I think that's part of the reason why they had to do these repeats. The people that they were probably considering, they probably couldn't do it because literally they're in the middle of filming new seasons of different things, confessionals. Like, I would have loved to see Shannon Beador. She needs the break right now. But poor Shannon. So those ladies are on their way. And Real Housewives of Atlanta is about to wrap up filming. Real Housewives of Potomac is about to wrap up their season because now we know this past week they filmed the reunion for Potomac. And for the very first time, Bravo on the same day released the reunion set and released the reunion seating. And I did a whole separate video talking about the fan backlash at this reunion seating because they have Karen Huger and Giselle sitting closest to Andy. I said this in this video, and I'll say it here. I don't understand why people are so invested in the seating, because the seating, just as the years go on, they never make any real sense. I can't even remember the last time that they got it right. You know what I mean? So I just didn't see why so many people are invested and really upset at the seating, because at the end of the day, it's not a real indication of their position on the show or if they're going to come back. At the end, they have Mia, and then at the other end, they have Dr. Wendy Acefo. I said, Dr. Wendy, I like when she gets activated, but that's it. We don't really get a lot from Dr. Wendy. We actually get more from Mia. Unfortunately, Mia, she's a liability because I just don't like her behavior in Miami. And the set is based off Miami. So I thought that's interesting that these two are on the opposite ends of the seating. But we shall see. We hear, according to a producer who tweeted me, said it was a 17-hour workday. So it was a long reunion. And I'm sure it's going to be at least 3 parts. It will be interesting once the fashion comes out, because we already see that the theme of the set was Miami. I would have thought Mexico, but they decided it would be Miami. So we'll see what the looks are giving for this reunion. So stay tuned for that. We'll talk more about that. And okay, so as I said to you before, there were a lot of backlash. Candace came out and spoke out about the backlash. She literally says this in a tweet. She says, I appreciate you all. Thank you for writing for me. We needn't be upset, though. I'm not. Being great is a marathon. I am validated by God, not by a chair. Because she saw all the fan backlash, because everyone felt as if Candace should have been seated next to Andy. And I argued that possibly, based off of how the rest of the season goes, it's not necessarily about Candace and Chris and what, they've been talking about during the season. Remember, from the top of the season now towards the end of the season, we're still talking about Charisse and why Charisse is back and her intention in being back and coming for Karen. And then it's Karen versus Robin. So I believe that Karen earned her position next to Andy, even though we're still like, why is Andy still hosting these reunions? Especially when we're talking about issues of color, when we're talking about colorism. Andy, we don't need you navigating these conversations. But Andy's ego is going to get in the way of his franchise. I've said this countless times. He's going to continue to be the face of these reunions because he believes that this is his moment to shine in these reunions. And we're like, no, this is your opportunity to give opportunities to the next Andy Cohen or the next whoever. But you want that shine. Okay, Andy. So it would be interesting to see what came up during this reunion and how. I'm excited for the reunion. I think I'm kind of already ready for this season to be over with. I don't know how I felt about the season of Potomac. How did you guys feel about the season of Potomac? For me, it was okay. It wasn't their best season. And it might be because we have people like Robin still with the fake relationship. Dr. Wendy's not necessarily bringing it. And we have Giselle forcing and trying to produce these problematic storylines and coming for people's marriages continuously. So I think people are a little just like checked out of Potomac in regards to that. So we might need a little bit of a refresh. I'm not saying that we need the entire cast gone, but maybe some shifts in positions. Just saying. Maybe put Giselle on pause? No. Maybe. Look. Get that ego in check. Just saying. But producers love a puppet. Let's be honest. Yes. So we had that, so one of the things, and along with talking about the Real Housewives of Potomac reunion, I also brought up the conversation about NeNe Leakes. And I asked the question, what Bravo celebrity would shake the Bravo universe if they returned? My pick was NeNe Leakes. And a lot of you brought up some other valid names. You said Bethany Frankel. Bethany always has an open door to Bravo, but she's saying that she's not returning without a level of money. Okay. Some of you said Mariah Huck from Married to Medicine. I was like, oh, I forgot about Mariah. Some of you said Danielle Staub. Okay. Some of you said Lisa Vanderpump, but in honesty, yes, it would be a big situation if Lisa did return to Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but she's still on Bravo. She's still on Bravo. She has her own show. And I said the only way she'll return to Beverly Hills is if they cancel Vanderpump Rules. But that would be a big shakeup. But I feel like the biggest shakeup, and I know it's probably not going to happen because NeNe Leakes sued Bravo and Truly Original and NBC Universal. So the likelihood is very slim. Not impossible, because look at Monique and Netflix. She sued Netflix and she's going to be on Netflix. All right. So it's not impossible, especially if you get the right person to broker the conversation. But there were some damning accusations that NeNe brought up. I mean, true accusations, but some damning accusations. But I do believe of all the people that I just mentioned, that NeNe Leakes would probably shake it would probably be monumental. But NBC's like, no, we're not going to do it. But it would be epic. Wouldn't it? I think so. And I'm not going to sit here and act as if NeNe in her later years was smelling herself. She wasn't really being activated. She wasn't coming to participate for the love of that 2020, reunion. Although it was a good reunion for RHOA, she was just not engaging. She literally checked out towards the end of the reunion. I get it. But she's been away for a while now. You never know. She might have a new refresh. She's got a new relationship. We lost Greg Leakes. Her son went through the stroke situation. There's a lot that's been going on in NeNe's life that she could talk about. And it would be iconic if they talked about her legal situation on the show with Bravo. Oh, damn. It's a dream. I don't think it's going to happen ever. But anything's possible. Guys, as always, I want to know your reaction to any of the topics that we talked about in this latest episode of our podcast. As always, don't forget to rate us a 5 on your favorite podcast platform. We're available on Google, Apple Podcasts. We're available on Stitcher, Amazon, everywhere where you get podcasts. Kempire Radio is available. So don't forget to rate it and review us. And don't forget to subscribe, download, do all the things, and subscribe to the Kempire Radio YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss out on the visual version and the launch of our new website, thekempire.com, where you can find out our merch, our podcast, our YouTube. All that information is available there. Thank you all for being here. I will see you all in the next podcast, in the next video. Bye, y'all.
You both got my best life, yeah. You both got my best life, yeah. Something you and me, oh. You both got my best life, yeah.